Fuck off, I'll smash her head in.
Come on, then.
This lad's
Oh, fuck, mate. Oh!
a hurler.
Why don't I carve my name in your fucking face?
Stick it.
The film begins with Tom sleeping on a couch. When he wakes up, he goes to the window and looks outside. He sees a thief trying to steal a car on the street. Tom immediately runs out to stop him. The thief ignores Tom's warning, and things escalate. A fight starts, and using his strong combat skills, Tom quickly defeats the thief to make his point. He warns them that if he ever sees them again, he will kill them. Thinking the situation is finished, Tom walks away. The next day, the news reports that Tom attacked a group of young men who are described as innocent boys just trying to repair their broken car. The news spread quickly, putting Tom at the center of a media frenzy. Reporters and the public kept questioning his actions, dragging the entire police department into the controversy. Worried that things might get worse, the department sent Tom to meet with a psychological counselor. But Tom refused to cooperate, and even lit a cigarette in front of the counselor right after being told not to. Angry, Tom threatened the counselor, walked out of the session, and went back to the police station. There, he met Elizabeth, a police officer with a difficult past. She explained that she had once worked undercover as a member of a drug trafficking group. To gain their trust, she had to use drugs as part of her disguise. But after the mission ended, the drug use became a real addiction. She was sent to a rehabilitation center to recover. After coming back, she tried to rebuild her career, but failed the sergeant's exam and was demoted to a patrol officer again. Tom noticed Elizabeth's sadness and frustration. He tried to comfort her, but he couldn't make her feel better. He understood her pain, but felt helpless. Even so, he stayed by her side, hoping she would eventually find her way again. Tom visited Bruce Roberts, a chief inspector and his colleague, after Bruce's wife passed away. He went with Bruce to the morgue to see her body. Overwhelmed by grief, Bruce broke down completely. Wanting to help him deal with the pain, Tom took him to a bar for a few drinks. There, Tom tried to comfort him with stories and jokes. It wasn't easy, but he did everything he could to lift his friend's spirits. In the next scene, a tragedy happens. As a female police officer is walking down the street, a hooded man suddenly appears and shoots her in front of everyone. The attack shocks the whole police force. Tom is notified immediately and rushes to the scene. When he arrives, everyone is confused because Bruce, who was supposed to handle the case, is nowhere to be found. Tom explains that Bruce is still grieving his wife's death and cannot work for now. Because the murder of a police officer is extremely serious and must be handled quickly, the department needs a strong leader for the investigation. Temporary Inspector Porter Nash is assigned to take over Bruce's position. However, many officers don't welcome Porter because of his bad reputation. Even so, their superiors make it clear that everyone must follow Porter's orders. During the investigation, Porter could feel that everyone around him was suspicious of him. However, he unexpectedly found support from Tom, a hot-tempered detective with a violent past. Despite his tough attitude, Tom didn't share the other's bias and was willing to work with Porter to solve the case. Elizabeth was approached by a young gang member named Metal, who was afraid that his group might have accidentally killed someone. He asked her to help look into what happened. Elizabeth agreed but warned him that this would be the last time she helped him. She told him that if the victim was dead, he needed to leave the city for his own safety. But if the person was still alive, she would help him find a way to make things right. He was forced to leave the gang right away. Elizabeth still felt uneasy, but she decided to share the information with Tom, hoping he could give her some advice. Tom listened closely and suggested she speak with Inspector Craig Stokes. Following his advice, Elizabeth contacted Craig, knowing he had the connections to help. Craig agreed to assist with the investigation, but only on one personal condition. He wanted Elizabeth to go on a date with him in exchange for his help. Later, a reporter received a phone call from a boy named Barry. Barry admitted that he was the one who shot the police officer and said coldly that he wasn't done yet. He warned that he planned to target more officers in the coming days. While he was talking, Barry continued his attack and shot another police officer. The killer said he still had 8 more targets on his list before ending the call. News of the second officer's death spread quickly and shocked the entire police force. Porter immediately approached Tom to see if he was really as tough as people claimed. Tom soon realized that Porter knew more than he expected. Their conversation was interrupted when another officer was shot. Tension inside the station rose quickly, pushing Tom and Porter to launch a citywide crackdown. They ordered officers to arrest as many criminals as possible and told their informants to be more active and alert than ever. Tom contacted Radner, a well-known and reliable informant in the Streetwise network who is famous for gathering underground information. Radner told him that a man named Barry Weiss had recently bragged about burning a police dog as practice for bigger targets. Believing Barry might be involved, Tom and Porter went to Barry's apartment, but they didn't find any solid evidence connecting him to the recent murders. Barry was shocked to see the police at his door, but because he was calm and clever, he quickly regained control of himself. Tom recognized Barry as the man he had beaten in a bar fight the year before and took the chance to mock him before leaving with Porter. Worried, Barry rushed to pack his things and escape to a hideout, not realizing that Radner, Tom's informant, was secretly following him. Radner trailed Barry to a remote area and saw him bury several items that looked important. He wrote down what he saw and decided to begin his own investigation. Eventually, Radner found an abandoned car filled with the trophies Barry had kept from each murder. This confirmed that Weiss was the killer they had been searching for. As the investigation became more intense, Bruce continued to battle his grief. He went to a liquor store, planning to drink to ease his pain, but as he held the bottle, he suddenly experienced a moment of clarity. He realized he had been destroying himself ever since his wife died, and that if he didn't pull himself together soon, he would lose everything. With new determination, Bruce decided to return to work, ready to face whatever challenges came next. When he walked back into the police station, he set his pain aside and prepared to keep fighting. At the same time, the informant felt a wave of satisfaction as the reporter stepped into the shower. After using the informant's brief distraction to complete the deal, Barry quietly followed the reporter into the restroom. There, he attacked and strangled him before the man could call for help or expose the truth. Barry then quickly escaped, slipping out of the bar without anyone noticing. The informant, not knowing what had happened, waited patiently for the reporter to come back. After a few minutes, he grew suspicious and went to check. There, he found the reporter lying motionless on the bathroom floor. Shocked and terrified, he realized the situation was far beyond what he could handle. Panicking, he ran out of the bar and even left the money behind. In his fear, he understood that Barry would now definitely be watching him. At the same time, Tom received the heartbreaking news that Bruce had died. He mourned the loss of his close friend and colleague. Tom's shock quickly turned into anger, pushing him to hunt down Barry, the notorious killer known as Blitz. For Tom, this wasn't just about catching a criminal, it had become personal. Meanwhile, Elizabeth was still dealing with her own concerns. She asked Craig about the man they had injured during an earlier mission. Craig assured her that the man was still alive and recovering, but he didn't share any important details. He preferred to keep things simple and just asked Elizabeth to buy him a drink the next evening. She agreed, knowing it was a small price to pay for his help in covering up the situation. Meanwhile, Barry returned to his hideout and looked closely at Bruce's police uniform. He enjoyed the feeling of being one step ahead, knowing time was running out, yet thrilled by the excitement of staying out of the law's reach while the police worked non-stop to track him down.
I'm kidding.
Such a bites.
Back at the station, Porter and Tom pushed their investigation even harder. Soon, a nervous informant came forward and revealed everything he knew about Barry, the failed deal with the reporter, and the location of the abandoned car where Barry had hidden the evidence. With this important information, Tom and Porter set out to finally bring down Blitz, fully aware of the danger that awaited them. The reporter became nervous and pushed the informant to reveal the killer's name. The informant hesitated and said he would tell him after returning from the restroom. No one knew that Barry, the killer, had been secretly watching them the entire time. When the informant returned and saw Barry, he immediately shook with fear. He begged for his life, insisting he hadn't revealed anything and didn't deserve to die. But Barry was merciless. Ideas like forgiveness or pity meant nothing to him. Barry killed the man without hesitation, ignoring all of his begging. After that, he left the bar without being seen and took the $50,000 the informant had just gotten from the reporter. Reporter Dunlop hurried to inform the police about the car where Barry had hidden the items, but when the police arrived, the car was already empty. Tom and another officer then began examining how Barry had carried out the murders. They realized that all of Barry's previous victims were police officers who had arrested him in the past. With this frightening discovery, they concluded that Elizabeth might be his next target. Not knowing she was in danger, Elizabeth returned home after meeting with Inspector Stokes, but Barry suddenly attacked her. As she struggled to survive, a young gang member named Metal, who cared deeply about her, sacrificed himself to protect her in the chaos. Metal was killed, but before Barry could attack again, the police arrived just in time to save Elizabeth, determined to stop him for good. Tom and Porter then came up with a new plan. They released Barry's photo to the media to lure him out. The plan worked, and after a tense chase, they caught Barry. However, because there was no solid evidence connecting him to the murders, he was released after 48 hours of questioning.
Something on your mind, Barry.
See you another day.
Frustrated, Tom and Porter decided to take a bigger risk. They predicted that Barry would try to get revenge on Tom at the funeral of Inspector Bruce, one of his earlier victims. Barry slipped into the ceremony wearing Bruce's police uniform. Tom then left the funeral, knowing Barry would follow him. Barry trailed Tom to the top of a parking garage, thinking this was his chance to finally kill him. But Tom and Porter had secretly switched places earlier. When Barry reached the top, Tom ambushed him and quickly overpowered him.
What? I was just playing alone.
Tom took Barry's gun and explained that they couldn't legally convict him because there wasn't enough evidence. But now, with Barry dressed in a police uniform and Tom holding his gun, they could stage the scene to make it look like Barry was the newest victim of Blitz. Tom ended the nightmare by shooting Barry with Barry's own gun. Afterward, Porter helped Tom destroy all the evidence. Even though Barry was gone, Tom was still angry at Dunlop, the reporter who had damaged his and the police force's reputation. To teach him a lesson, Tom had a police dog chase Dunlop, forcing him to face the consequences of his actions. The film ends with a message thanking the audience for watching.